What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Merrington, and I'm joined once again by the man with no nickname yet, James Creel.
Oh, if that becomes my nickname, what a great way to go.
I just thought of that right now on the spot, to be honest. I actually, as I was starting the intro, I was like, crap, I still don't have a nickname. I'm going to go with something. It's something for now.
Did you swear?
When did I swear?
You just said crap, or is that not
Crap's
counted
allowed.
in your
Crap's
senses?
allowed. No, crap's allowed.
Wow, and I've been censoring myself from crap this whole time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I feel cheated.
How you doing, James?
Pretty good. I had fish for supper.
Me too.
And apparently I'm advertising UCT Ballroom, because this just happens to be the pajama shirt I'm wearing at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Look at me being a walking advertisement for a society that cannot function in a pandemic.
It must be spring if you're taking your hoodie off or your jersey off.
That and I recently just ate and cooked, so like I was around hot stuff. My glasses are even fogging up, so I mean, I keep having to take them off, and then I just have to notice again in a reflection how tiny my eyes look. So,
Nice.
I mean, and how are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. Very excited to talk a little bit now about Avengers. I've been loving playing that. Other than that, Varsity's been okay. I was quite fortunate to find out on Sunday. I was sitting having supper, and my mom was like, "Don't you have like your in between term holiday coming up?" And I was like,
I
don't know, our recess." And I was like, "I don't know, maybe it's soon." So I gave it a quick Google, and it turns out next week I'm on holiday. So I didn't even realize until this last Sunday. So it was pretty cool to find out, even though the varsity always says that a recess is a working holiday. So we have lots of work to do, have a CS project due the Monday back. So won't necessarily be just chilling, but will be nice to have some time off and play some more games.
Yeah, then there's me.
Yeah.
I still got work.
Yeah, but you're getting money. I mean, you can't complain.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I have no holiday.
Nice.
Holidays aren't a thing I possess.
If only we
anymore.
had holidays so that we could play, you guessed it, video games. Welcome to the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Merrington, like I said, joined by James Creel. And if you didn't know, this is the podcast that revolves around all things video games. Join us as we chat, discuss, and argue about all the things we love about games. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can write in with a question, a topic, or an answer, just like you'll see a little later in this show. And you can reach us at the email address talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. James, did you change with me to me in the spec to throw me off?
Sorry?
The spec, it says talk nerdy to me, and that's incorrect. I thought maybe you were trying to sabotage me.
No, I haven't touched it.
Okay.
Now my glasses are fucking up even more.
Anyway, as I said,
my screen.
You can reach us at the email address talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. And this week we got an awesome topic to discuss sent in by a friend of the show, and we're going to be going into our thoughts on the future of video game technology. But before we get there, we're going to start off with an icebreaker as usual. And James, we've both been struggling with this question now just before we started recording, and we realized that it's a bit tougher to answer than we thought. And the icebreaker question,
the market has just become inundated with these games.
Exactly, but the question that I put out to James is, if you could give any superhero license to any video game studio to create a game for that superhero, which hero would you pick and which studio would you give it to? James, have you got an answer yet, or would you like me to go first?
You go first. I've got a few. Like, they're not anything I'm super passionate about, but I've got a few that I think would be an interesting studio and hero pairing, so to speak.
Okay. So my hero that I'd like to see a game for is Superman, and that's two reasons. One, I really do like Superman. He's not my favorite hero. I'd say like my top three are probably Spider-Man, Batman, and Captain America. But I think Superman's probably around 4 or 5, and the reason I'd like a game for Superman is more because I want to see how you would make a Superman game. Obviously, he could be too overpowered, and maybe he shouldn't necessarily be able to take damage if you were fighting against just normal humans, and bullets shouldn't hurt him. But if the game was revolved around not being Superman fighting guys with guns, but it was about Superman letting as few people die as possible, saving people. You know, if instead of combat, the thing or the gameplay was there's a plane about to crash, but at the same time something else is going wrong, and you as Superman need to save as many lives as possible, and it's about actually flying and catching the plane and putting it down safely, and you know what I mean. Like it's not just about hand-to-hand combat, him using laser vision, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool game. It's something I'd love. You could tell some really cool stories with that. And
just like you said, it is conceptually hard. How do you make fun gameplay mechanics around a character that is OP, but at the same time is not evil?
Exactly.
Because Prototype is like a pseudo Superman game, the two prototypes, but in that you are full on just a dick.
Yeah,
you're evil. You're basically a menace. You aren't supposed to be the good guy.
Yeah, so I think it would be interesting with seeing how someone can create that. I think it would almost be like a new genre of superhero game, because so far superhero games have pretty much been beat 'em ups, action games, you know, Spider-Man, Batman, Marvel's Avengers, now Gotham Knights,
and Telltale.
Or Telltale game, yeah. So I think it would be interesting. And the studio I'd give it to, I have two names here. The one being Sucker Punch, just I thought with Infamous Second Son, or with just Infamous in general, something like that could be interesting, because Infamous Second Son had the, correct me if I'm wrong, the video powers, I think it was called.
Yeah, video was for video, and Smoke could do different types of flight.
Yeah.
Neon was speed, and Concrete was more defensive.
Yeah, so the fact that just going off Sucker Punch's Infamous Second Son, they got the speed down with the Neon powers. The flying with video, I think, could kind of relate. Obviously, it could make it a little different, and it'd be more of a, you know, you'd be able to fly as much as you want, and not necessarily a glide like the video one was, if I remember.
It was a glide. You had to boost yourself to keep going.
Yeah, but the other game, the other studio, I think could be cool. Would be Sony Santa Monica, and the reason I say that is just because if you made the game gritty and tough like God of War, like at least the most recent God of War, where if every punch as Superman against, maybe fight Zod, and every punch felt like that first boss fight in God of War with the Stranger, or with Boulder, and I think that would be awesome for a Superman game. So like having a fight with Zod in the middle of Metropolis, and it's similar to Man of Steel. You crashing through skyscrapers, and people are in there, and you need to try to save as many people as possible and not kill, like in the movie.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, but I think that's what people didn't like about Man of Steel, especially because, you know.
Well, no, that's why this is the point of the game, is to not let it happen. That's the gameplay.
Fair enough. So you're saying that the spectacle can happen, but the buildings toppling is like if you failed a quick time event, for instance.
Yeah, something like that. But basically, I think Sony Santa Monica could make that gameplay that feels good. You know, that every punch like feels nice with the camera even, and how it moves and the sound. So I think that would be pretty interesting. And have you thought of an answer yet? Yeah.
So I was thinking at first that a Hulk game by Avalanche, the makers of Just Cause, because of their destruction engine, they could make a really good like arcadey Hulk game in terms of how it played, and they could have, you know, as dumb or as serious a story as they want. But I mean, I think people would enjoy like a solo Hulk game where, unlike the Avengers game, you actually feel like you've got the power that Hulk should have to level cities.
And
so I feel like that would be kind of interesting, because you could also allow players to be the bad guy, because there have been Hulk storylines of him losing control.
Yeah.
So you could literally have an objective be to wreck the city and kill people because the Hulk has gone out of control. Like there are excuses that you can actually rampage without having to always have it be, oh, this is a conveniently placed bad guys area. And like, you can destroy those buildings because they're empty. But like, this could just be the Hulk went completely insane. And so I thought that their destruction engine could be cool. And I was also thinking Sucker Punch, but not for Hulk, for a Flash game. Because speedsters are also something that I'm just like, even with any other game, I can only picture them working in almost an RTS. Like like John Wick Hex, where it's a game where you actually map out what you're going to do, and then you have to, you plan it, and then you run it through in real time. And if you die, you then see where you died and you rework the thing.
Yeah.
And like the Flash should almost work like that. But I don't know if that's the type of game they'd want to use for a gigantic superhero property. So I'd be very interested to see how they tackle someone that can move so fast to the point that you'd imagine most bad guys shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Unless they're also speedsters.
Yeah, or the people that are like specifically able to take him on for whatever reason, because they're just so lumbering and big that by the time he hits them like King Shark, the guy just looks down and whacks him.
But like, interestingly enough, I've started watching The Flash again, with
Oh, I'm
Dana,
so
with
far
my
behind.
girlfriend, and basically most of those fight scenes with other speedsters are just them chasing each other around buildings. They just run up and
Yes.
around, and they don't really look like they're even touching each other. So if they somehow went off that, where the game was, if you're fighting against speedsters, and either it was them chasing you or you chasing them, and you had to keep up, and it was you steering around like you had the neon speed power in Infamous Second Son.
Yeah,
I think that could be quite interesting.
it would be, but I don't know if you could build a whole game around that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts. I think the most easy one would definitely be Avalanche doing a Hulk game.
Nice. Just a point on that. I played the Incredible Hulk on the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and it was set in an open New York, and you could level buildings. It was quite funny. You punched any building, and no matter what building it was, if you punched it probably like 30 odd times, it would just collapse straight down, and then there'll just be rubble. It was so random.
That's like a proper controlled demolition.
Yeah, it was so funny, but
Did you try to do it to the Empire State Building?
I'm pretty sure I did. If I can't recall, but I mean, I'm sure I would have gone to the highest building. But yeah, but those are some good answers, and hopefully those games are coming to us soon. I'm sure that all those studios are listening very closely to the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast, because this is obviously
Of
where
course.
all the innovative ideas come from. But until those games come and get announced, which you'll probably hear about here first, James, what have you been playing?
Basically just Avengers. Like, haven't had much time for anything else. Also, got my mom up here visiting from back home, so haven't had as much time on the weekend to play. Otherwise, I would be playing Ni no Kuni as well. But right now, just Avengers.
Nice. Yeah, I've also been playing Avengers a lot, and we both finished the campaign. We're not going to be getting into like a review or anything here, or no spoilers as well. But what are your impressions of the game?
It could have been better. It's definitely something that's like launch Destiny, and I don't think it's as bad as launch Anthem and launch Division. It's something that'll likely get better over time, but it definitely shouldn't have come out yet. I think it should have waited quite a while longer.
Yeah,
But it's still like at its core, it's fun. But
Yeah.
it should have waited. I think they needed to think more on mission variety and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for what the game is going for as a games as a service, I think it's achieved what it needed to in the beginning. I know that some people weren't so happy that the story wasn't long enough, or that there wasn't enough gameplay variety, but but I still really enjoyed the story that was there. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
acting, I enjoyed the cutscenes, and I'm having way too much fun with actually like going into depth with these heroes and realizing that they're much deeper than they look on the surface.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate that, but I feel like the grind and time investment needed to actually get to the skills that make them deeper is a bit ridiculous.
Well, I'm enjoying that, just because like I've never been a part of a games as a service before. I played Division 1, but I wouldn't say I
Yeah.
was invested in it like with what was going on in the community. I was kind of just playing through the story on my own.
You're enjoying the grind.
I'm enjoying the grind. Like I said, I wasn't so invested in the Division 1 when I played it, and I never played Destiny because you never bought me Destiny, even though I kept asking. But basically, I'm keen to be a part of like the journey of a game from start to until I'm really over it. But like, I'm happy to invest hours into Captain America to hit his level cap, to hit his power cap, to get all the skills I want for him, to unlock all the cosmetic outfits I want. And then every time, and I'll do that for the other heroes, and every time they drop a hero, I'm so excited to like jump into that hero. And I know obviously it'll be tough to play as that hero online because everyone will want to. But I mean, you can also play on your own. You can play with your own AR. So yeah, I can see myself being in this game for the long run, at least until the end of the year, or at least until Cyberpunk. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is same. I can see myself enjoying it until Cyberpunk, but I can't see this being the way they want it. That you constantly come back to do the weeklies. Like, I can see myself lasting until maybe Cyberpunk, and then only coming back when new content drops.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that the content will be free. At least the heroes. I don't know about probably new like big expansions, but the heroes are free.
No, they said all story content and regions will be free.
Okay, cool. Then I'm happy that all that's free, and I'll definitely come back whenever that comes, but I don't think I'd be someone that's going to log in religiously to do weekly challenges and stuff like that just because.
Yeah, but that's understandable. Don't worry, I'll be there. So whenever you want to play, hit me up. But anyway, another thing I just wanted to shout out, not that I've been playing, but I don't know if it's still on. I really should have checked before this, but FIFA 20 was on sale for 63 Rand. So if you're in South Africa... 69 Rand, sorry.
It was the magic number.
And so if you're interested in picking up FIFA 20, I know FIFA 21's coming out soon, but for 69 Rand, that is an absolute steal. So go grab yourself the game if you want it. Just a heads up, but unfortunately the sale could be over by the time this releases. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. But that's what we've been playing this week. And now we're going to get onto our topic of the show. And I'm very excited to talk about this. This is a question sent in from a friend of the show, Chris Gibbs. And this is the question. He says, where do you think the future of video game technology is heading? Obviously, graphically, it's always improving. But do you think developing tech will take the industry by storm in the future and change the way we play? Like VR, Google Stadia and streaming, mobile gaming, and the Elon Musk Neurolink idea, etc. So James, just for opening points, I'll throw it to you. We'll kind of break this down a bit, but I guess we'll start the discussion off with where do you think the future of video game technology is going? What direction do you think it's going in?
I mean, it's hard. It's definitely heading towards streaming. Stadia is definitely not going to be where it's going. It's most likely going to xCloud, or if Sony invests anything into PS Now, it might go there. It's not going to Stadia because Stadia's absolutely flopped in terms of what it did. In terms of mobile, I don't see it being mobile in terms of actual mobile games. I see it like mobile, like xCloud on mobile, and you're just literally linking a controller to your phone, getting one of those weird attachments that clips to the controller, and you're literally just playing there, streaming to the phone. Mm-hmm. I don't see it being mobile, like actually on there. In terms of other things, I definitely see VR growing. Like Half-Life Alyx showing what the investment of a proper like big company like Valve in terms of making a VR game kind of shows that there is experiences that can be revolutionary to be made with it. So I think if I really want Sony to put one of their biggest studios onto a VR game just to see what they would make, because we haven't really got that yet. We've only got the small, I think it's Sony Japan, that's been making the Astro studio games.
That I can't remember what
they made something?
They made Blood and Truth.
Okay, so they have got some, but we haven't seen anything like on a giant scale. So I'm interested to see what happens with VR in the future. But we've so far got we've seen some pretty good examples, like Resident Evil 7 was fully compatible with VR. Hitman 3 is going to be VR compatible. I don't know how extensively, but they said it's playable in VR. And I mean, I halfway suspect Resi 8 might also be VR compatible just because Resi 7 was. So we'll see. I'm definitely interested to see more big games get VR versions. So I think it's going to head those directions. Elon Musk's whole Neuralink, I think that's first going to go into a normal tech area. I don't know how long it'll be before that type of thing might come into gaming, but I don't know exactly what this tech is. Just that the Neuralink sounds like it's something that's going to go into your brain, and I don't see how that's going to be applied to gaming immediately.
and after watching that one episode of Black Mirror, I don't know if you watched it, I think it's called playtesting. I was like, nah, not yet. But yeah, my opening point would just be, first of all, I don't think consoles are going anywhere for any time soon. I think there's at least 2 or 3 more generations, because I don't think that the majority of the world is ready for a purely online and a pure streaming only future just yet. Yeah. I think that will come. I think that gaming will become like Netflix has, that streaming games will be the way games works, that Game Pass is the future of how you will play games, and xCloud is the way you'll actually get those games and, have them on all your devices. But I don't see consoles plugging into a TV going away anytime soon. Sorry, you're saying?
I think partly. I don't know that I see the Netflix model necessarily staying. for being the only way for gaming. I feel like streaming will be it, but I feel like there needs to be a thing of not subscription based, because lots of people buy a game, and unlike a series where you want to watch it once and then it's done, you often want to go back to a game. Subscription based services, they don't keep the game forever. The game's there as long as they keep renewing the license. So you never own it. You've got that game as long as the subscription keeps licensing it. And I think a lot of people would rather buy games. So I don't think we'll see like full-on Xbox Game Pass be the only way Microsoft eventually would be selling games. I feel like they'd still have the whole storefront. You could have an account and you can still actually buy physical games and then stream them. But I don't think Game Pass is going to be the ultimate only method going forwards. Just because I know I would be unhappy if I wanted to play The Witcher 3 one day and then suddenly it's not on Game Pass anymore. I'm just like, well, damn. Like, I can see the ownership thing is much more a thing for games.
Yeah, so I think purchasing a game will still be a thing, I'm sure. But I think that the model for the Netflix kind of model, I think will come into play and will be there. My reason for that is when you buy games digitally, you're only buying a license of that game. You don't own the game. You don't have the rights to take that game and open up its source code and hack away at it, you know?
That's the same with even disc. You aren't technically allowed.
But when you have the disc, you physically have a disc that no one can take away from you. But you think about if you buy The Witcher 3 digitally on your PlayStation 4, there's going to be a year, one day, where you won't have access to it, where they're going to shut down a server for all the consoles that were able to play The Witcher 3. And unless you have that game on disc, it's probably going to be gone, unless they have some way of preserving games by then.
I'm not sure, because I mean, you own the license, but at the same time, it's just connected to your PSN account. As long as the system you've currently got can still access that game, and that game is still compatible with that system, I don't see why it wouldn't run. Even regardless of time.
But I don't see them making a model like Game Pass. Obviously, at the moment, they have games coming in and out, and I know Netflix kind of has that too, but I mean, I would see PlayStation having their version of Netflix, put in all their first-party games on and never taking them down. They have no reason to. Third-party stuff could change, and there might be some deals made and some disputes that would take certain games off it. But I just feel like Game Pass is really setting up what this new way of getting your games is going to be. And especially just how quickly it is to access them, and with streaming, that to pick up your phone and not have to download the 2020 version or 2030 version of the next God of War, I don't know, and then instead of you having to download it, you can literally on your phone click on it and it will stream it for you if there's something built like that. I feel like that's how it's going to work. It's not going to be a matter of, you have to be within 10 meters of your PS5 so that you can get the game on your phone. I think it will be all right, I own a PlayStation and I'm subscribed to PS Now, or I own an Xbox and I'm subscribed to Games Pass, and
xCloud.
Both Games Pass and xCloud, and so I have access to all Games Pass games on my phone, on my tablet, on my Windows PC, on my Xbox, you know, and I think that's going to be the model. And
to be fair, you can't really, because Apple is not playing nice with Microsoft either. If you haven't seen that stuff, they aren't allowing xCloud onto Apple devices.
Yeah.
So
but
that won't be in the future anytime soon.
So my point I'm just trying to make is that I think that consoles aren't going away soon. I think that the market's not ready for a completely online, not everyone has uncapped, unthrottled internet. But moving on to the next thing of being VR, I think VR is still a niche thing, and I don't think it's going to change. I think PSVR is the most affordable one, but even that's still kind of a luxury in my eyes.
I think it might be the Oculus Quest, actually.
Is what?
Is the most affordable one, I think.
Okay. Well, I think the reason I'd say PSVR is probably most affordable is the fact that it can run on your PS4, and for the Oculus Quest and those ones, you need a beefy computer that can accommodate VR, which is also another part of the cost. So I don't see VR becoming a staple yet. I do agree. I think there'll be studios pushing the boundaries of what VR is capable of, but I don't see anytime soon that VR will be taking over as the way to play games, at least until entertainment might take on a VR form in general. Like if there's ever a time where maybe movies or TV transitions for some reason into VR, I can then understand VR becoming more widely adopted, just because then I'm assuming the headsets will become better priced, or at least priced lower and more affordable for the general consumer. But no, I don't think VR will be taken over soon. I think at the moment it's still very much like a tech demo for the future.
I don't think VR is ever going to be the main way people play, but I think VR is going to definitely be the source of some of the best experiences, especially in the next generation. I think with the way that people are supporting it, especially devs, I think some of the most innovative things and the best ways to experience video games as a medium will be in VR, but I don't think it'll become the mainstream way to play. I still think mouse and keyboard or just controller and TV or monitor will stay, but I think you're going to miss out if you don't try VR.
Yeah, no,
That's how I view it
agree.
right now. I mean, I'm looking at something here. Just in 2020, if you go by the sales just on PSVR of software for PSN, over $100 million. Oculus Quest over or just under $300 million. Oculus Rift just over $200 million. And Steam VR sales is like $150 million. So, I mean, for VR headsets, which don't get that many games, that's a year. That's pretty impressive sales numbers for 2020 alone, since the year's not even over. So, I mean, it's definitely growing. And if this whole thing's got all the way back till 2017, so you can have a check at it. I'll send you the link, but it definitely shot up and grew a lot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been adopted more widely, I'd say, but not going to be a staple in anyone's home in the near future, in my opinion.
Probably not.
The next big thing was mobile gaming. This is not going anywhere. I actually pulled up TechCrunch. According to TechCrunch, by the end of 2019, 45% of the global gaming market worth came from mobile gaming. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Everybody has a phone. Kids nowadays play on their parents' phone, even if the parents don't game. And whether that be free games with purchases in the game, whether that be games you pay for.
I just disappear from the video.
No, I can still see you.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
But yeah, so I don't think mobile gaming will be going anywhere anytime soon. As for what it will look like in the future, I mean, I don't think it'll change much. I think the games on it might slowly get better and better, and as the phones get more powerful, the games might look better graphically. But with regards to Chris's question of where the technology will go, I don't think that any new tech on a phone will be groundbreaking right now.
I don't think full gaming, full on like the experiences we think of when we think of gaming, like the AAA $60 games are going to go onto mobile, not yet. Yeah. I don't think, one, it's powerful enough. Two, it all depends as well on how open you're trying to make it. Because if you're wanting anyone to play it and you don't want them to have to buy a controller that can connect to the phone, I don't see that working. The control schemes needed for games they never translate well to only touchscreen. Like I've seen the PUBG one, the Fortnite one. It doesn't look that great as far as being able to play, especially with cross-platform becoming such a big thing with multiplayer. You're gonna just get you're not going to have a great time if you're stuck there on your phone trying to shoot while playing against PC people with a mouse and keyboard, and half of them are using cheat software. You're not going to have a great time on mobile.
Yeah, but
for those types of games.
But mobile will definitely play a role in, as we said before, the streaming feature of being able to put your games from your console onto your phone and take it with you. And xCloud's just a testament to that.
Take it with you is highly dependent on there being good Wi-Fi infrastructure everywhere.
Yeah.
Like if you're going on a bus, you're not going to be able to play anything. If you're like in a hotel, you might. I mean, I don't really know what hotel Wi-Fi speeds are generally.
I can't remember what I was listening to. I think it was IGN's podcast Unlocked with Phil Spencer, and he was saying that he was in Africa for some reason. I don't know where in Africa. Obviously, he's American, so they just say Africa. But he says that he pulled out his phone and he tried to give Project xCloud a try in South Africa. Or in Africa, sorry. And he said it worked.
Suddenly you knew exactly where he was.
He said he was playing the Halo Master Chief Collection at like 2 frames a second and with a huge latency, but it worked, So the thing is, it will not be good, but it's possible. And I think
it's also going to chow your data if you don't have Wi-Fi.
Oh, of course. And I'm sure Phil Spencer has an unlimited data plan. But I think that's, like we said, the technology is ready for us to basically be in the year 2040, but the infrastructure that we have in this world and the amount of money that the general consumer has to spend on video games and things like internet and data, I don't think they're on the same level yet. So I think it's actually the consumer that's kind of holding the technology of video games back.
Yes, more or less. But I mean, what you gonna do? Unless Phil Spencer and he wants to speak to Bill Gates to start hooking everyone in the world up with good internet for free because he's got that much money, I don't think we'll see this happening very soon.
And then Chris's point about Elon Musk's Neuralink. All I got to say about that is that this thing obviously is so early in development, and its primary purpose is to obviously fix disabilities, to help people with. I kind of gave a little read on what it is today, and it seems like, it'll help people who have mental problems or have problems with their brain, or maybe could even help people with paralysis. So I think that should first serve its primary purpose before we think of what it could do for gaming. But it would be interesting to see. But as I said, if you haven't, go watch Black Mirror. I think it's called Playtesting. I can't remember. It's in the later season, I think, where this guy basically tests out a gaming thing of basically putting a chip around his head, not in his head necessarily, and it freaked me out a bit. So I don't think it's something that I would probably try.
It definitely, like, if Elon Musk's thing eventually got to like an entertainment branch of Elon Musk's Neuralink sub-company thing, it would definitely be interesting to see it combined with VR. So you've got the visual, you've got the audio, and now you're just controlling it with your head. So all you have to do is just sit there and experience it, or stand up. I don't know, maybe if you're sitting and you try to be like running, you'll feel really disorientated. But like, I do wonder what that would be like, but I don't know how close that would even be. I mean, I saw something that said during a Q&A, he revealed a result that the team didn't realize he would, which is that a monkey has been able to control a computer with its brain. So they've evidently been doing some tests and they've gotten some good results, but I don't know how far out this thing might be. Oh, wait. We hope to have this in a human patient by the end of the year. Okay, maybe it's closer than I thought, because this was written in July 2019.
Yeah, you're going to see a new trailer drop for Cyberpunk, and it's going to say Xbox Series X, PS5, and Neuralink.
No, that's... Yeah, I don't know how... But I think I agree with you. I don't think this is going to be coming to gaming anytime soon. They've got more altruistic and much more marketable
but based off, for it. Just from Chris's question, and obviously it's such an interesting question of where the future of technology in gaming will go. And I think PS5 and Xbox Series X kind of just show that it's slowly changing, but nothing's going to be drastic. This next console generation is very similar to this generation, that you can get your games on disc, or you can download games. There's now obviously adding certain new models, subscription models for games. You're now going to be able to stream your games on phones and that, which is new. So they're slowly introducing things. I don't think there'll ever be a turning point where video game technology is going to change, but I think that every generation will have incremental differences. Yeah.
I think one thing that Chris didn't bring up in his question, but I think is quite important to mention actually, is so the changes, like you said, it's very different. It's very subtle, but at the same time, one big thing is the introduction of SSDs into consoles. So I was watching also like the Play, Watch, Listen, and I was recently watching an episode where they were speaking from months back about the Unreal Engine 5 demo. And the fact that new demo for the engine is showing like ray tracing, and the proposed idea is that they're able to do what is it called? I think it was called layers of detail. So layers of detail was the idea that when you've got a model for something, like say a car in GTA, there's many different models for it. Mm-hmm. So there's the core mesh and the full model that you'd see when you're 1 meter away right in front of it. Then there's the model you'd see when you're 10 meters away, 50 meters away, and so on, until you're like in a helicopter and it's just a dot. Like, they have to manually go and do those all individually, because you have to make them at those different distances and resolutions of how they're represented. But apparently one of the claims for the Unreal Engine 5 is that it will you give it the full high-res image, that you've got. So like your artists make the full, like, you know, the full design image that they originally would do before you had to downgrade it to actually be in the game. You give it to the engine and it basically does all of that for you. So what Mike was saying in that is that this will revolutionize the industry in terms of how indies can make games, in terms of getting things that look AAA level in visual presentation without needing to increase their budgets. So I think a lot of the way this generation will change things is actually on the software side, in terms of how easy it becomes for people to make games of a higher graphical quality, even at lower dev levels.
Yeah, like, and I think a good example of that is Black Myth Wukong, which you know is a small team. I think it's something like 14 to 20 people.
I think they're expanding to a few more, but at the moment,
And I think that's been made in Unreal 5.
I'll double check for you quickly, but I think
I totally agree. That's definitely a point we missed. That Unreal 5 looks like it could change gaming for the better. Like, my hope is that AAA developers are able to make the same caliber games or even better in both less time, just for the consumer's sake, so we get more games, obviously, but that's obviously a very consumer thing to say, but at the same time that it's just easier for them, and that these studios don't have to crunch to put out something that's, you know, technically amazing.
They're utilizing Unreal Engine 4.
Okay, 4, not 5.
5 was only released on that tech demo. That game's been being worked on for years.
Okay, yeah, hectic.
Or at least for like, I think it's been 1 or 2 years that game's been in development.
Okay. But yeah, I think Unreal Engine 5 could really change the game. I hope it does for developers, and I hope it just makes it easier for them, and maybe just allows them to work with less pressure on their backs, and to bring the games that we're so ready for. You know, like, I'm ready for these amazing graphics, but at the same time, I don't want to hear about the studio that had to work 7 days a week just to give me this game.
Naughty Dog.
What? Never heard of it. But yeah, I think it's such a cool question. So thank you so much, Chris, for sending that one in. I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you have any closing points you want to make, James?
Just that the other thing is going to be just this whole generation is going to be focused on smoother frame rates, getting rid of loading times. Like, those are the types of things that we're probably going to see because of SSDs.
Yeah.
We're going to see like those, the long corridors where you're forced to walk, the crevices that you squeeze through, the doors that you have to hold down a button so that it loads before they open the door, and then it's a very slow animation. Those types of things are probably what we're going to see the most disappear this generation, because they, with SSDs, they don't have to use tricks to load in the environment anymore.
Yeah.
They can almost instantly load it in, especially as the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart stuff has just proved with its demos.
Exactly. But yeah,
I think a lot of it's going to be software based, that we actually see changes in games. And then, I mean, I think the first big thing we're going to see is xCloud, because Microsoft's finally pushing that thing out of beta in the next few years, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be
Isn't it coming this year?
I don't know. I know it's in preview. I don't know if it's actually fully releasing. I can't remember the exact release date.
xCloud release date 15 September 2020.
Oh, well, never mind then. Then that's in like a week.
Yeah.
But, it is in exactly a week.
I'd love to know what you guys listening think. Where do you think video game technology will be going? What direction do you see it going with regards to VR, consoles, Elon Musk's Neurolink? I'm so keen to hear what you guys have to say. Chris, once again, thanks, Chris, for writing with such an awesome topic for the show. And remember, if you want to write in with a topic for the show, you can do so by writing into talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up episode 6 of the Talk Nerdy With Me podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for joining. As I said, if you want to write in with your, let me know what you think will happen with video games in the future with regards to the technology. If you want to write in with a topic, if you want to write in with any kind of question, any kind of answer, as I said before, email talknerdywithme21@gmail.com. Go follow us on Instagram at talknerdywithmepodcast. And if you enjoyed this podcast or this video, please give it a like and subscribe on YouTube. And the podcast service that you like to listen to. We're still not an Apple Podcast, but I will still let you know as soon as we are. But that wraps up the show this week. James, thank you again for joining me, the man with no nickname yet.